Hey everyone, Ritesh Sharma here. Welcome to this video tutorial on Android applications. In this session, we are going to learn first what are actually Android applications, then their types, their classification, how they are used and where they are used, and finally, we will end this session by learning about how we can create applications for Android platform only. Let's get started. So, basics of app development. In this session, we are going to cover few topics like introduction to apps. Then we will understand what are the types of apps available. Then we will see the use of commonly known apps. Then classification of mobile applications, and finally we will end the session with the development of our own application. Okay, so getting started, first of all we will see the introduction of application. What is actually an application? So the things you see on your mobile phone, the icons you see on your mobile phone or on your desktop computers, okay, or laptops or maybe tablets, those are basically icons for your applications. Commonly used term for application is app. It is an abbreviated form of application. I think we all know that, right? Now, the app, as I told you, is represented by a small icon on your computer screen or your smartphone, which can be clicked or tabbed to open, right? So in case of a mobile phone, you have to tap on it, and in case of a desktop application, you have to double click it. It may or may not require an internet connection to work. Okay, all the applications on your mobile phone or maybe on your desktop computer, they don't require internet connection. Okay, some of the applications they do, and some of the applications they don't. You can use apps to manage your emails, contacts, play movies or music, capture, edit and save pictures, and do many more other things. Now let us see what are the types of applications available to us. There are two categories which are explained in your syllabus. The first kind is desktop applications. What are desktop applications? These are those softwares that allows you to perform any specific task. It can be textual editing, it can be maybe picture editing, or maybe you have to prepare a document, or you have to prepare maybe a PPT or something. That specific task by using a computer or a laptop. Okay, so those softwares are known as desktop applications. These apps can usually be stored on your hard drive of your computer, and it uses an operating system to run. In case you are not known to what is an operating system, so just understand for now in this way that operating system is the base software which is used to utilize these applications. A desktop application, or maybe before going to that, let me give you an example of an operating system. So like Windows is an operating system, Mac OS or iOS is an operating system. Okay, now a desktop application may not necessarily require an access to web, as we discussed earlier also. Okay, for all the applications it is not mandatory that web is or internet connection is required. In many cases, it can operate on its own by using the computer. That means it can operate offline as well. You can open more than one app at the same time for multitasking. I guess we all do that, right? We play games, and along with that, we attend classes. Okay, so the desktop applications are platform dependent. Okay, for example, if I want to shift my application from my Windows to my Mac OS, it is not possible. For example, some big applications like spreadsheets, word processors, and web browsers are used to perform complex tasks. Small applications like calendar, clock, paint, or notepad are used to perform simpler tasks. So these are some examples of desktop applications. Now, the next type of app we have is called as mobile applications. Before getting into the topic of mobile applications, let me give you one quick example of why these apps are called mobile applications. First of all, let's say I want to go somewhere and I want to use some of the features of my computer. In that case, those applications or the versions, there are some versions available of those applications which are present on your computer on your mobile phone. Okay, or maybe there can be a new type of application which is suitable only for when you are moving, or I can also say when you are mobile, right? So in that case, when you are moving or going from one place to another, in that case the apps you use are known as mobile applications. So getting on the topic again, a type of software application which is developed to operate on a smartphone or tablet is known as mobile app. So why these softwares are developed to operate on smartphone or tablet? Because smartphones and tablets are used on the go. When you are traveling, they are used the most in your life. Mobile applications are very small in size. Again, the processor is not of that much quality, right? You don't have a lot of memory, so because of that sake you have very small sized applications, so they use less memory space on your device. Mobile apps are stored and executed on the device itself. Some examples are Facebook Messenger, Instagram, Google Maps, etc. Due to the rapid increase in the use of smartphones, the software companies are focusing on creating apps which are device independent. What device independent means is that, for example, let's say you want to use an application in your Android device, maybe, or you want to use the same application in your iPhone. So, currently, the software companies are focusing on building such type of applications which are platform independent. The apps are created in such a manner that it can be used as a desktop and mobile app as well, right? For example, let's take the app used by majority of the people in India, that is WhatsApp, right? It is used globally and it is available as a mobile application and also as a desktop application, right? A mobile app can be a part of office suite or a game or social media platform, navigation app or mobile player. Let's take the example of office suite, right? You can create a Word document or you can create a PDF using your mobile phone nowadays, right? So these things were only done earlier on the desktop or your laptop, right? So now these are also available on your mobile phones, but definitely the case is that you cannot use all the features of the word processor or maybe the PPT development software. So you don't have all the features available in the mobile phone. The only reason is when you are traveling, you don't create or tinker with a file that much, right? So that's why only certain features are available on the mobile applications. Okay, moving on. So let us understand the classification of mobile apps. You can use mobile apps on smartphones to perform various tasks, right? These apps are simple and have a user-friendly interface. What does user-friendly interface mean? It means that you can access and utilize the features very easily. You can understand them very easily just by watching them at least once. Apps are designed in such a way that any user can easily access, install, and use these apps, right? So this is what I told you earlier. These apps usually add the existing functionality of smartphones. Now, how it is done? For example, your mobile phone has GPS in it, right? But you cannot use the GPS directly, or maybe let's say in a raw way, right? So for that, Google developed an application called Google Maps. So using Google Maps, you have a user friendly interface. Using that, you can easily access the information required regarding maps. So GPS is a like inbuilt feature, but right now you are using it very easily, right? Everything is made very easy for you to use. Now, different types of applications are available for different purposes. You can classify mobile apps into 3 types as given below. Let's see what are the types available. The first type is called native apps. An app that is developed to work for only one specific mobile platform, maybe let's say for Android or maybe for iOS, is known as a native app. This means that an app developed for Android system, they are saying exactly what I said, will only function on the smartphones with Android operating system and not on iOS. If you want to check it out, you can try to share an application through your iOS to your Android or vice versa. Then the next type available is called mobile web applications. Like being different from native applications, these apps or softwares are stored on remote servers and run with the help of web browsers. You need web browsers to use these applications. So for example, earlier when Facebook application was not developed or when it was not available, at that time we used Facebook on our browser. That means we used Facebook on Google Chrome maybe or Internet Explorer. In order to use web apps, you need to have an internet connection, because as you can tell, on your mobile applications you cannot have access to the things available on internet without having internet connection, right? So in order to use web browser based applications, or also known as mobile web applications, you need an internet connection. You can use web apps on any smartphone irrespective of its mobile platform. Why is that so? Just because of one reason, because you are not running on the mobile OS directly. Okay, so it is not a native app. So what it is a web browser based application. So you are running on a web browser like Chrome or Internet Explorer or Mozilla Firefox. So browsers, they all function in the same way. You can open google.com on any browser, right? It is not like you cannot use or you cannot open google.com on iPhone, or you cannot open google.com on maybe Android platform, right? You can have access to the internet. You can have access to the information present on internet on any browser on any smartphone. Similarly, these functionalities or these applications are also available on any platform. Next type is hybrid applications. As the name suggests, hybrid apps are the combination of native and web apps. Like native apps, hybrid apps can run on smartphones. Hybrid apps can be used on multiple mobile platforms. However, the overall speed and performance of hybrid apps is slower and poor as compared to native apps. Now, as we are done with the types and classification of applications, now we can go on to learning about uses of commonly known applications. So there are multiple mobile applications available for different categories of tasks. Let's quickly list the commonly known applications. The first type is social networking applications. The social networking apps are widely used for communication. You can use apps like Facebook and Instagram to connect with friends. You can also use these applications to share information such as your photographs or maybe videos. In addition, instant messaging app like WhatsApp is used to share personal data. It can be it also can be used to make audio and video calls while also exchanging real-time messages. You can broadcast messages over the internet using apps like Twitter, right? So social networking apps are nothing new to us, right? We are all aware of social networking apps and we are using them every day. The next type in the list is educational applications. You can use mobile apps to make learning interesting and fun, right? We all love to use mobile phones. We are addicted actually to using mobile phones. So why not to have fun while learning? So you can use mobile apps to make learning interesting and fun. You can use ebooks on smartphones along with Kindle and e-learning applications such as NIT Guru to learn new concepts at your place. Distance learning is also now possible with the help of Google Classroom. Like right now, your classes are being taken on maybe Teams or Zoom or Google Classroom. Google Classroom is a web service developed for schools to create and distribute and grade the online assignments. So I guess we all are aware of all these things. The next application type we have in list is called banking and finance related applications. You can use the banking apps to open and access bank accounts and transfer funds online, right? You can also start recurring deposits and fixed deposits and even order a checkbook using banking apps. You can use mobile apps such as Paytm or JustPay to make payments for goods and services directly through smartphone. These apps are digital wallets and used to make online payments. So similarly we have Google Pay or Phone Pay which are being used by most of the people right now. The next category is entertainment applications. You can use multimedia apps to listen to music or watch movies. Some of the examples of music apps are Play Music, which is developed by Google, then you have iTunes or Gaana. You can also watch online videos and movies using apps like YouTube. The Book My Show app is used for booking tickets for movies, plays, events, sports, etc. A wide range of gaming apps is available for smartphones. These are available for free download or with charges. The most commonly used games are Angry Birds and Candy Crush Saga. Or you might be playing a different game. Then the next and the final category is e-commerce applications. E-commerce applications are used for business deals and commercial transactions. You can use shopping apps such as Flipkart, Amazon to purchase various products online, just sitting at your place at home. Now, as we have an idea about what are the types of apps available to us and for what we use them commonly, now we can go on and create our own application, right? So but before getting started with creating our own application, we first need to understand how we can create an application, right? So there are two ways of creating an application. How real applications like WhatsApp or Facebook are created, you have to write thousands and thousands of lines of code using different programming languages like Java, XML, Python, C, C++, JavaScript, etc. Either you can choose this way, or you can choose a cloud-based platform which has blog and drag and drop services. So drag and drop services are used to train children or beginners to get started with different programming algorithms or how to develop an application in your case. So the software which we are going to use, or the service we are going to use to create our own application, is known as MIT App Inventor. The MIT App Inventor is a tool that helps you to develop software applications for an Android operating system. So if you're having a maybe iPhone or a Windows phone, then I'm really sorry, this application is not for you. These applications are just for Android users only. It helps you to enhance your creativity while developing an application by using visual and block language. So that's why you don't have to use these long lines of code. You don't have to learn any programming language. You just have to memorize the blocks available. The App Inventor is used to develop mobile applications using a web browser. So actually it is not an application. MIT App Inventor is not an application. It is access over a browser. It is a cloud-based service. So make sure you have this in mind, that you cannot download this application on your computer or on your mobile. You have to open a browser on your computer, and there only you can design any application you like. You can develop games and general apps like alarm clocks. In addition, you can build educational apps like quizzes using the MIT App Inventor. You can display the emulator on a computer screen. So what is an emulator? Emulator is another interesting thing which is related to Android app development testing. When you test an application and when you see what it looks like, you do all of that on an emulator. Okay, emulator is like a virtual platform, virtual mobile screen actually, which is displayed on your computer or on your laptop itself, so that while developing an Android application you can actually deploy it, or you can actually see what it is looking like. You can view the output of your app on the emulator, as I discussed earlier, screen, just like you would watch it on your mobile screen. Now, here is a new thing for you which is related to MIT App Inventor, which is known as AI Companion. AI Companion, you can also test your apps using a physical device like Android phone or tablet. The AI Companion app is used to test an app created by App Inventor on an Android phone or tablet. In case you don't want to use emulator, or you don't want to install an emulator, what you can do, you can install MIT AI Companion on your mobile phone. It is available on Play Store. You can download it and it will help you to test your application while you're developing it on MIT App Inventor. Hence you need to install the AI Companion app on your Android device. I'm repeating again, this development process is available only for Android users. So if you are on maybe iPhone, so make sure that this will not be available for you. Accessing the MIT App Inventor, how you can access it, how you can open it, how you can get started with it. You can use any web browser to access MIT App Inventor user interface. Now the thing is, from my end, I've been a long user of this MIT App Inventor, and from my experience I can tell you the best browser is Google Chrome, because this MIT App Inventor was developed in the beginning by Google itself, and now it is being taken care by MIT, that is Massachusetts Institute of Technology. That is the best engineering institute in the whole wide world. So the best browser suitable for this MIT App Inventor platform is Google Chrome. You need a Google account to sign in to MIT App Inventor, right? So if you already have a Google account, you can log in using that Google account, or you can give the access to mit.edu. Using this account, you can create and save multiple projects. So once you have created one account or linked one account with MIT App Inventor, make sure you remember it, because all of your projects, whatever applications you will create using MIT App Inventor, will be linked to that particular Gmail account. Now let's see how we can do it. To access MIT App Inventor, you have to follow these steps. The first step is that open the required web browser. For example, open Google Chrome. On that Google Chrome, in the URL bar, type this URL, that is ai2.appinventor.mit.edu, and the sign in with Google web page will appear, okay, which you are seeing over here. So at this place you have to enter your email. Maybe for me, I will enter like this: ritesh@gmail.com, and you can press next. Sometimes when you will go to this URL, what will happen? You will not see this page. It will give you a list of Gmail accounts which you have already signed in on your browser, and you can select any one of those email IDs, whichever is yours. Now if you see this page, in that case what you have to do is enter the required credentials for Google account, like your email ID and password, and follow the instructions provided on the screen. So it will give you all the instructions which are required to access the MIT App Inventor. You have to follow them, and once finished, the MIT App Inventor dashboard appears in the project view as shown as in figure 2. So this is the project view. In this view you will get the list of projects which you have created. So if you are starting for the first time, in this list you will not see any item or any project created earlier. So what you can do is, the first thing is that you can click on this button that says start new project. After clicking on the start new project button, this small dialog box will appear. In that you have to enter your name. Okay, enter any name, like let's say you are creating a calculator application, so you can call it as calc. Okay, so enter any name and press OK. After it is done, it will take you to another page, okay, that is called the designer view. This is your designer view. Okay. This is the place where you actually design your application. Now we are at that point where we will actually learn how to design an application. So there are two parts before getting started with the designing part. That there are two types of design you have to keep in mind. The first one, the first type of design is called, it is actually called as design. Okay, so what is that design? That is how your application will look on your smartphone. Maybe some components are here, maybe here you have a bigger component, maybe on the top you have something written. So what your application or what the components placement will be, or what your overall look of your application will be, you have to do all of those things in this designing part. The second part is actually the programming part. So in the programming part, what do you do? Whatever components you have used in the first section, you have to make it work, right? You have to engage it, you have to program it, you have to circulate in such a way that it starts working or it starts performing actions. For example, let's say there is a button. So on that button you have maybe you have named it like next. So people, they don't understand what this next means, or even the button itself doesn't understand what next means. So you have to tell it what to do, maybe to share certain information, maybe to open camera. So whatever you are doing using that button, you have to tell it to do so. Okay, so the first thing we will see in this view, that is known as the designer view, we have to go for the first section. That is, we have to do the actual designing. We will see and we will make the design of our application. Now, coming on to the interface, what MIT App Inventor gives, we have to see. So the MIT App Inventor interface is easy to use as the window appears in one of the two available views. As I told you, the first view is the designer view that you will see after you have named the project, and the second view is the blocks. The blocks is the section where you do the programming using block codes. In the first view, that is the designer view, as shown as in figure 8, appears by default, right? As I told you, whenever you will give the name to the certain project, you will see this screen by default. When you sign into App Inventor and start a new project or open an existing project, this view will be available. This view allows you to design the app interface, right? It gives you the opportunity or a platform to design your application, to design the looks of your application. You can add the required components, like I told you, maybe buttons or a text box. We will see those in details. Now, blocks. What is the blocks view? That is the programming part of the whole development process of an application. The blocks view is used to add programming code to the components in the app, right? So as I explained, it is mentioned in this paragraph. This section includes some predefined software codes shown in figure 5, right? Like here. Here you can assign functionality for each component added to the app interface on the designer view. So it is done after and only after you are done with the designing part. So once you are done with the whole interface, then you can start with the block section. So the block section looks like this. But now you'll ask me this question, that sir, how we can move from designer view to blocks view, or from blocks view back to designer view? You can do that easily by going on to the top right section of your screen. There you will see two components. Okay, one of the components is for you to navigate to the blocks view. You can click on it and it will take you to the blocks view, and the other part is called as the designer view. So designer view, if you click on this button, it will navigate you to the other part, that is the designer view. Now, let us understand the designer view much in detail. Okay, starting from the left hand side section, the first part is known as the palette panel. Okay, so this is the palette panel. Here you will see the list of components like buttons, text boxes, maybe notifier or a slider or a switch. All of these things, all of the components which you are going to use in your application is listed in the palette panel. Then you have the viewer panel. What is a viewer panel? Viewer panel, as the name suggests, it is for you to view what you are doing to the designing part, how you're designing it. But mark my words, here you will not see the actual design. Maybe it will look something different on in the designer panel, and in the actual application it will look like something else. Okay, so it is just a rough design or a rough view of what your application is going to look like. So make sure you understand that. Next is components panel. In the components panel, you will see the list of components which you have actually used in your application. So for example, let's say I selected a button and I will click on it and I will drop it over here. When I will drop it, then I will see the name of the button, like maybe let's say like this, button 1 in the components panel. So whatever components, maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 or maybe 100 components if I'm going to use in this project or in this application, then all the components will be available as a list in the components panel. Next you have in the list is properties panel. What is properties panel? Every component in your project or in your application has certain properties to it. Like for example, maybe you have a text box. In that text box, what will be the length of characters? How much length of maybe you want to add a paragraph, or maybe you want to add a sentence, or maybe you want to add certain only numbers only. So what type of text you want to enter, you can change the properties of that particular text box component from the properties panel. For example, maybe let's say you have added a button to the project and you want to change the color or maybe the look of the button, that you can change using the properties panel itself. So again, one more thing, keep in your mind that properties can be similar for different components, and it can be different for different components. The last part of your designer view is called as the media panel. Media panel is just present there for you to upload different media, like maybe an image. For example, you are creating an application for the school, and in that application you want the image of the school logo. Okay, so you can add that logo or the image using the media panel. You can easily click on the upload file option, and from there, from your computer itself, you can upload the image and you can use the image in your application. Alright, so this was all about the designer view. Now let us move on to blocks view, that is the actual programming part of the application development process. So in the blocks view, what do you have? Let's see. The first thing you have in the list is blocks panel. In the blocks panel, you have different categories from which you can choose different blocks of code. In this particular example, you can see under screen 1 you have two components, like you have a button and a checkbox. So if you will click on button 1, you will see a list of blocks exactly like this. Maybe the blocks will be different, but they will be listed in this way only, and you can pick and drop the blocks suitable for your project. Okay, so in the blocks panel you will find the categories related to different blocks which belong to different components. Then you have a viewer panel. In the viewer panel, you will drop the blocks which you want to use, and the functionality of your whole application you can see in the viewer panel. So that is all related to blocks view. Now, earlier we discussed a term or a software known as emulator, right? So what is an emulator? I gave you a brief description of what an emulator looks like. So this is what it looks like. So on your desktop you will be able to install and use this application, and this application will be your virtual platform when you are developing an application and you want to actually see what it will look like while you are developing. So it gives you additional help while developing an Android application. Now, how to use and how to access this emulator? The first thing is you have to install it on your system. To download and install AI starter program, that is this, you need to go to this website, and on this website you will download the file. This will be the file required to be downloaded. Once the program is downloaded, you can double click on the file to run it. Follow the instructions on the screen to install the program. The installation program is very easy, so you can do it. Once the installation is complete, finish, just click on the finish button and you will be done. Now, after the Android emulator is installed, you can start the emulator. To accomplish this, you first need to run the AI starter program and start the emulator from the App Inventor web interface. So how you can do it? On your web interface, let me go back to the main interface. There I can show you. Yeah, this is the interface. On this interface, I guess you're all able to see that on the top you have an option that is called connect. If you will click on this connect option, you will get a small menu which actually looks like this. In this you have different options like AI companion, emulator and USB. So if you want to use the emulator, you have to select the emulator option, and if your AI starter program is running, then it will open something which will look like this, okay, which is actually called as emulator. And now you can start on developing projects. It takes some time to get started, but like after few minutes it will be ready to use, and whatever you will design in the designer view, that will be visible in this section.